Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Now, we do have a few questions. Just a reminder to there's the Q&A tab below on your Zoom screen if you have any additional questions. Now would be the time to type them in. In the meantime, we do have a few questions. Now, a reminder, you can ask questions anonymously. If you don't, I will say your name. If you do, obviously I won't. So to start out with, we have one from James Tracy. He says, "Hi, Simon, Craig, and Tandre. Could you please provide more detail on how the relaunched Spacetalk app will work? Specifically, can you expand on how you will engage kids throughout the entire product lifecycle?"
Thank you, James. That's a great question. It's a product question, and I think I'll let Craig walk you through that. But let me just start by saying, from a family app perspective, because I think that's the thrust of the question. I think the key thing to emphasize is that historically, we've had a kids business that's done well, but when that child has outgrown their wearables device, they've naturally churned off the Spacetalk product platform. We're now designing an ecosystem that retains that child, minimizes that churn, and retains that relationship for, we're aiming multiple years to come, taking them through the tween and teen stage. So we're excited about the potential of this opportunity to retain that relationship and to interact with that child through the various coming stages of their life kind of going forward. Maybe we could just talk for a moment about how that might work from a practical perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the point that Simon made there around product ecosystem is incredibly important. So today we acquire most of our MVNO customers essentially free of charge. A SIM card is included in a box with a hardware device, and they sign up by simply putting that into their watch. The challenge that we have is that that watch has a relatively limited lifetime of usage. Kids basically outgrow the device. I personally have experienced this as a parent with my oldest son, who's now 11, and the Spacetalk watch it's no longer the thing he wants. He wants a smartphone. At that point, we've lost that child from our ecosystem, and we've lost the revenue stream from our MVNO as well. By launching new products to market, including new MVNO plans and the new family app, we'll be able to deliver the same benefits, or many of the same benefits, that our watch products currently deliver, because that need hasn't gone away. There's still a need for parents to feel that peace of mind, to ensure that we know where the child is, to ensure that the child's navigating, for example, from school and back safely or with their friends safely, but just basically doing it through a different platform. So the family app will deliver many of those location safety benefits that the watch delivers. It won't deliver some of the features that the watch delivers, simply because we can't change the operating systems of those devices. So, for example, we will not be restricting messaging coming from other people. We will not necessarily be restricting the number of people that the child can call, but that's because this is aimed now to an older age group of children that don't necessarily require those levels of protection. So in a nutshell, that's how the application will work, and that's how it fits within our product ecosystem as well.
Thank you. Just a few follow-up questions that we have that are related to the app and product ecosystem. One question that we had was, where can you outline the thinking behind the entire product ecosystem that has been unveiled recently? And the other question, which was related, was by Chris, and he asked if you could outline a little bit the strategy to persuade Life 360 users to switch over to the Spacetalk family app, and what will the cost be for the family app if a customer has the Spacetalk mobile phone plan?
There's quite a few questions there to unpack. Let me try and deal with some of those. I think the ecosystem we have in mind reflects our view of the family unit. So everything we're doing, and you can see this in the strategy and also in the coming new product releases, is about being able to engage with the family unit in its entirety. So at the low end, we continue to focus on innovation around our wearables devices for kids. I'm very excited about the Loop product that's coming to market in Q2. It's a really nice product, high quality product. I think it's going to do well for us. I'm excited about it. So we're going to have solid proposition for kids wearables business. the family app, when it launches, literally in the next month or so, is our first step towards being able to, as we said several times, being able to essentially open up an entire new market for Spacetalk, which is teens and tweens. So there's older kids, say if you're like 11 plus. That market opportunity hasn't existed for the business before, so that's completely greenfield for us, which is exciting. And that's two things. So new customers to the brand, how we will need to evolve our marketing to be, to skew to an older user is going to be an interesting challenge for Chris Neary, our CMO, and his team are doing an excellent job inside our organisation. So that's an interesting opportunity for us ahead. I think so. Bringing new customers in is good, but I also think how we can transition effectively our existing customers. That is our number one focus at the moment. How do we retain from a subscription perspective? How do we migrate those customers at the right time into our family app and onto other MVNO plans as well? So we really are starting to focus on the good challenges that a subscription business like ours has, which is our growing footprint of products and our ability to be able to migrate a customer through different steps and different kind of product experiences as well. So it's new, it's exciting. I think investors should think about this as being completely new market opportunity. We've considerably increased the total addressable market for ourselves in the Australian market, because we're not just relying on young children anymore. And that's an exciting thing in itself. At the other end of the spectrum, Craig touched on our Life product. A lot of you will know the fact we've had this product for several years now. We've repurposed this in a more focused way. As Craig mentioned, our focus is less now on a smartwatch for seniors being sold through retail, and more on how do we position this as a legitimate and high-performing MPERS device for seniors and other vulnerable people. And that's going to be an interesting and exciting announcement you can look forward to in the coming weeks as we really look to commercialize this in an effective way for the first time, as we're very close to announcing some partnerships with 24/7 monitoring services out there as well. So that's another key feature for us. How can we bring grandma and granddad into our ecosystem as well, also part of that family unit, and to be able to have a proposition for them. And then right in the middle of that, and this is why our MVNO strategy is so important, Spacetalk Mobile is the glue that binds our entire ecosystem together. And so that's why you're going to see some evolution around our product offering there in terms of our growth and our movement towards voice and data plans, which we think are really important. So when that child wants to move to its first mobile device, we've got a plan for you and for mum and dad who are likely going to be making that purchase decision, and an app for you to be able to use as well. So it's all going to be very sticky, very integrated, and we're going to get extremely good at being a data-driven organization where we have customer at the epicenter of our business, and we get really effective about being able to engage with them, retain them, upsell, inside sales. All the key metrics that you'd expect from a subscription business are going to be the things that we start to message to the market going forward. Anything to add to that, Craig?
Yeah, I might just say that the best way to think about our ecosystem, just to massively simplify it, is three pillars: connectivity, hardware, and software. And we're looking at offering connectivity, a hardware product, and or a software product to an entire family unit across their entire life cycle. One of the things that we didn't mention earlier about the Loop product is that when this goes to market, it will actually be soft locked to our MVNO network. So 100% of users of the Loop watch product will become MVNO customers. Our challenge then really is around retention, and it's around putting new products and services, whether that's an MVNO product or a software or hardware product, in front of the family at the right stage of life. Underpinning all of this, we're massively enriching our data capabilities as well to ensure that we've captured and are using entire family unit data to allow us to position those products really effectively.
Fantastic. I think that, it's definitely an exciting time. And there's definitely a lot more coming out, obviously, as the team has said. So we do have a few announcements. So we can't go into as much detail on those aspects. I know that we have a lot of very specific product questions that are being asked, and it's good to see people excited about the new ecosystem that we're launching. A few, I think we'll handle a few more product specific questions before moving on. Ian Cameron said, "Hi guys, you mentioned employees and workers. Can you expand on that just a little bit to talk about how that fits in to the products?"
I am. Absolutely. So we're currently in the process of building up our product offering for seniors and vulnerable families. That's starting with the reimagination, the completely redevelopment of our Life Watch and the digital artifacts that go along with that. If you look at what we're delivering for that particular device, so being redeveloped as an MPERS device also enables it to be connected through to 24/7 monitoring providers, of which we will be an agnostic product. The major use case for that type of device is amongst seniors who are at risk or potentially a fall risk, and that lends itself into the Life product having automatic fall detection, SOS functions, and so on and so forth. If you squint slightly and look at that use case, it has a huge amount of application for employers and workers, especially those who work in dangerous environments, hot, high, dangerous, for example. We've got workers at risk of duress who may benefit from the same SOS functions. And we're going to continue to build out that product offering, but also the positioning of that product suite with that market in due course. The reason we're not chasing both of those in parallel is we want to get the entire product suite working in the way that we intend it to work, with the one segment of seniors and vulnerable families first, and then in time we will move over to focus on a brand new segment. If we try and do too much at the same time, we'll end up doing nothing well.
We're just going to another number of questions more about the products, but I think we should move on at this point to some other topics. Although I do appreciate all the interest, it's great to see. And one of the questions.
Sorry, on that point, Russ, I'd say the important thing is we're close to being able to roll these products out. So investors are not going to have to wait. This is not conceptual or ethereal. It's not sometime in the future. We're right in execution phase right now. So I'd say within the next couple of weeks, we'll start the first phase of making some announcements around some important product updates. I think the first cab off the rank is going to be our updated Spacetalk Schools app. So that's something to look forward to. And then I think the next one after that will be our family app as well. So our aim is before the end of Q1 to have some fairly significant announcements about new product initiatives out in the marketplace. That sets us up nicely for the remaining 3 quarters of the year. So things to look forward to in the near future for sure.
Yeah, and as Simon said earlier, transparencies. We're definitely going to be keeping the market updated and producing those metrics that Simon had mentioned earlier. So that's definitely something to look forward to going forward in a very short period of time. So moving on to the capital raise, we had a few questions, and I'm going to kind of move a few together because they're similar. So with regards to the current capital raise, can you discuss where specific those funds will specifically be used and what the focus of it is going forward?
So, do you want to comment on that?
So can you come again, Russell?
On the capital raise, where the funds
So what is the use case for the funds and what is the focus of those funds that are currently being raised?
Yes, so our focus at the moment is to make sure we execute our strategic priorities within FY24. So we've already incurred quite a significant amount of development cost in the products that Craig and Simon spoke about. And this is actually to sort of like move us into the next phase of the products that we need to execute for the second half of the financial year. In addition to that, we've got normal working capital sort of like requirements that we need to run the business. So those 2 areas will be the significant uses for this capital.
I'd also just emphasize the fact that we run a really tight ship at Spacetalk. We make all our dollars go a long way. We're a very small team. We're sub 50 FTEs. I think the last count we were about 41 FTEs. I think we achieve a lot with a very small team. So we've also spent very little money in reality since my tenure in February. All those dollars have gone in a very focused way around the product and the reset of the business as well. So as Tonrai said, this is all about execution and the support of our business goals going forward. We've got a stated goal of getting the business into a cash positive position in the second half of the year. That's where our focus is. That's going to flow from good financial practices, solid housekeeping, all the things that we put in place in the last 6 months as well. And this notion of discipline around execution, which is something that we talk about inside the business every day, and alignment. So we reduce the temptation about shiny things and focus on executing per the plan. So the plan we put out in May was, again, not conceptual. It was for you to be able to look at and reflect on how we're progressing against the deliverables that we stated in that plan. And so the bulk of the money that we're raising at the moment is going to be focused on our ability to be able to execute effectively and to get the business to this cash flow position that we've stated we want to achieve in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I do just want to highlight the report that we released last week. Really does show exactly what Simon's saying, that the business is being very well streamlined, and that it's important to note that the funds that are being raised are for very hard targets, and that a lot of the R&D spend, as Tandre said, has already been booked, and that these funds are being really used to move to the next stage. So moving on to some other topics that we've been asked about, I do just want to say that the team is actually currently in Sydney. We did get a question about location, and I am based in Sydney so it is important to note that we are very Australian focused, and that the team is constantly in communication with other members. So if you want to talk about that a little bit, Simon, I know that this is it's something that has been asked a few questions, but I think it's
I believe there's a few rumors kicking around about various people's location and our nocturnal interests. All I can say to you is that we're very much focused on the business is our number one priority. People are putting a huge amount of effort on a day-to-day basis, and I'm very grateful for the support that we have from both the leadership team and the rest of the Spacetalk group. People working extremely hard. In terms of location, here we are. We're talking to you from Sydney today. As many of you will know that I've lived in Australia and Sydney for a long time. I am a hybrid at the moment. I'm in Sydney every 4 weeks for a couple of weeks at a time, and my stated aim is to be transitioning back to Sydney full-time in the not-so-distant future. Both Tandre and Craig live in Sydney and are fully in the business every single day. So I think from a resource perspective, we have all time zones covered, which I think is only a good thing.
Absolutely. The other question that we had is surrounding the schools and any work with the government surrounding that, support that has been support there. Is there any communication with the government around the schools program?
I can answer a couple of those questions.
Sure.
Yeah, so we have agreements in place with 2 Department for Education at a state level within Australia. I'm pleased to share that we have recently renewed our contract with both of those departments for either a year or multi-year arrangements. So yeah, pleasingly, our schools business is a continuing area of focus for us. We've recently hired a head of BD for our schools area. We'll continue to improve and refine that product as well. And yeah, be more news to follow.
And just the last question is, what, if you had to put it into 3 bullet points as to what shareholders should really look forward to over the next 6 months, what would be the main things that shareholders should keep an eye out for?
Stability, focused execution, only 3. Okay, no surprises, fourth, and I think I'll run at getting to a cash positive position for the business would be the 4 things that would come to mind.
Excellent. So that is the time we have for today's webinar. I want to thank everybody for joining, and clearly it's a very exciting time at Spacetalk. The transition is going extremely well, as you can see. We have a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline. So thank you again for everybody joining us, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
See you next time.
Bye.